Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, The Inked Reader. Today I am wrapping up the comics I've read in the month of September. Despite the fact that I had quite of a miss in terms of reading months in August, I did not read many things. I did manage to read the majority of things that were on my TBR for September. Just a couple of things. Every time I got reincarnated as slime. This one here I did read the first day of October, so technically not in September, and yeah. It's gonna be in my October wrap-up. And also I didn't even open up Little Bird because I just had a million things to do, and the idea of reading something with a translator, because I bought by accident my copy in French, wasn't appealing to me in September. But I do really enjoy the story, so I'm gonna try and make more of an effort in October and at least continue on a bit. Apologies, there is a beep 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 in the background because of course the moment I film, like, there are trucks outside and everybody and their mother is out in the streets making noises. I don't know why, it's just always happening like this. Anyway, without further ado, I'm gonna go from my least enjoyable read to my most enjoyable read. Enjoyment doesn't mean necessarily quality, just to put it out there. But yeah, I'm gonna start at the bottom of what I enjoy the least, but again, as always with comics, it's kind of always a hit. So at number 8, I will have to put Spy Family. This is volume 4 that I did read in September, and I just want to show you these in terms of the art. I give synopsis in my TBRs just because I read volumes after volumes of the same thing, so I don't want to be repetitive. But in terms of volume 4, I found the dog plot so cute and so entertaining. The reason why this is a number 8 actually though is because if it wasn't for the hype and the fact I generally find the character so cute, and it's always like a very pleasant quick read, the plot in itself and the genre it sits in is not necessarily my cup of tea. I'm way more into fantasy and horror manga than I might be in something that is kind of an actiony, humoristic, more light series. I don't mind it because again it's the only one that I'm currently following, so I will continue on. But then I might check out the anime, and if I love the anime, I'm not so sure if I will continue to buy the manga. It just also comes down to cost wise. Is it worth it? I'm really invested in the series to a point that I want to invest money in it, but we will see. For now, it's a cute quick read. And then I will have to put the Kurosagi Corpse Delivery Service. This is the bind up number 4, so it contains 3 of the normal volumes, and I really love the aesthetic of these volumes. This is a seinen horror-ish, fantasy horror-ish, more like a paranormal horror to be fair, series, and it's quite episodic. And this is why eventually, while I loved the first volume, the first 3 volumes technically speaking, eventually my interest in these went decreasing. And the reason why again is because I don't really like episodic stuff. I get bored, and I still enjoy these bind up enough. I found some of the stories very creepy. You follow this bunch of guys solving like mysteries that had to do with dead bodies, so that part of finding, you know, a bit of more of a lore of Japan and finding out who killed who and how. So a few stories were very entertaining and I did enjoy it, and I do honestly believe that this is the only series, one of the very few episodic series that I managed to still read, overall enjoy. I would not purchase or read any other episodic manga, if it makes sense. So that is to say, kudos to this, because it's as good as it can get while being episodic and, you know, every few issues dealing with a new case. I found this a good read when it comes down to spooky season. I really enjoyed that it went a bit darker. Sometimes it was, you know, the graphics and the bodies and the blood was really there. So I really enjoyed that part. But they are bloody expensive, these ones. So there is another one out, the bind up number 5, and then there are no more. And I guess eventually, depends on how much I feel about bind up number 5. I don't know if they ever, you know, come up with another one and it costs £30. If I would either pay that money now, or if I would wait until it's very much discounted. Just to say, I'm getting more strict with what I allow myself to buy and what I don't care enough to spend money on. And this one is even cusp of potentially I would not invest more money, just because I do enjoy the process of reading it, but I eventually didn't love it as much as I did love the first volume, and I was expecting to love it. Still, I think for spooky season this is great because it has those kind of elements of investigation, paranormal investigations and horror elements and ghosts getting revenge. This is very cool. So I am reading the next one in October, for example, because I thought what perfect time of the year than October to finish these kind of bind-ups. But yeah, I think this also I appreciated more once I finished reading it. So now it's been weeks since I didn't pick this up, I appreciate it more. And now there's the police. Or the ambulance. I told you, like, perfect timing. I'll be right back.
A few moments later.
Let me see if I can show you some of the art that it's not spooky, creepy. I'm gonna miss the characters though once don't have them in my life anymore. So overall, it is still a very good read. I gave it 4 stars. Okay, then I have read one issue of Venom, and this is issue number 1, but I don't think it's the first time Venom comes up. Like, it's clear from this that Venom is a character that was published with Marvel way before these, so I'm not sure where it stands chronologically speaking, but I just own these. I got it for free at Comic-Con a couple of years back. And now, of course, there is a murder of crows outside my window. What's the day? Anyway, so I've read these, and let me tell you, I absolutely adored the art. This is very bloody. I can't show you these. As this is the first volume, I don't generally think there is a blade. Whether I can show you, it's very much of a spoiler. So I was saying, I loved the art. I found the art so just good to look at. And I did enjoy the story overall. Don't get me wrong though, it was just 1 volume, so it's a very beginning of a story. It's a bit of a pity that I don't go to the library anymore, because this would be something that I would request from the library. And just, you know, by me reading a full volume, I would know if I'm interested in continuing on or not. As it stands now, as I was mentioning a few minutes back, because I'm way more strict with what I buy and what I don't buy, I don't feel like investing money as of now. I might change my mind if it sticks with me like throughout the months. I might go and purchase the actual first volume. I was particularly intrigued by the alien side of things, because to be honest, the anti-hero part is nothing new. It's something that now we have seen over and over again. And so in terms of the protagonist, I didn't see Venom, or you know, the guy that becomes Venom, as peculiar or particularly standing out. However, the alien entity, all of that background stories and the other soldier stuff, that intrigued me. So I will check out the movie, and if I ever find a library close to my house, I might go and continue on with these. I'm not so sure when it comes down to superhero graphic novels, because back in the days I would say no, they're not for me. But now I might be open to try a couple. So if you have any recommendations, and again, remember that I don't like episodic stuff, so it needs to be quite, either the graphics are amazing or the story is quite intense and dark. In that case, I might put up with it. But if you have any suggestions, I wanted to maybe try some also DC comics, because this is a Marvel, and I'm open to Marvel as well, of course. But yeah, let me know your recommendations for superheroes comics that you think I might like. If you've been around my channel for a while, you might know my tastes, so you might know what I might enjoy or not, and I do trust you guys a lot. So yeah, Venom, it wasn't bad at all. I enjoyed it, but it was just an issue. I'm gonna proceed to butcher the following names so don't mind me. But number 5, 6, I don't remember, like they're back to back. I enjoy them equally. I have volume 7 of One Piece and volume 8 of One Piece. I thought when I was putting my thoughts down about these volumes, I should really come up with something about each volume that I particularly like. Otherwise, this is gonna become tedious due to the fact that this series is massive. So one thing I particularly liked about volume 7 is I love the character of Sanji, and I found his backstory with Chef Zeph. how they met, that was so touching. I absolutely loved that part of it. I didn't care that much about the fight with Don Krieg, whether the bad guy in this or the fight, I don't care much about the guy. But generally, so many feelings for, you know, Chef and Sanji story. And in volume 8, the Nami thing that's happening here got me intrigued. And I am actually very, very eager to continue on with volume 9 and see where this is going. I also found the concept of a fishman quite intriguing, like who they are, what they are. I found that such a genius idea, so I'm very much intrigued to continue on. And yes, I mean, as everyone pretty much on Earth, I am very much enjoying my read of One Piece. It's my first time reading these. Now, the next 3 ones I really struggled to put in order because I love them very much, the top 2 especially. But number 3, I do have Doradoro Volume 7. It had been a couple of months since I'd read a Doradoro volume, and I had been missing it. I realized how much I just enjoy to be back in this eccentric, horrifying world. I really enjoy her art. It has become a staple now in the horror genre, in a sense. Like, it has become like such like characteristic of Doradoro and what it reminds me, that I don't know, I open the first page and I feel like, okay, I'm back home. I am with Doradoro, I'm gonna be fine. And this was absolutely delightful. I think N as a main evil guy he is so weird as a character, and I honestly genuinely find him quite funny and actually adorable, which is so wrong because of who he is, but I don't know, I kind of struggle to see him as the bad guy, so I'm really curious where this is going. And I also like how the mangaka, how she keeps the tension going and adds layer to this mystery that we are trying to resolve and find out. And there are a few things that hit you left and right and you have not seen them coming, and you're just like, okay, I do believe that I need to read like a volume a month because the story is more complex by what I initially thought. So some parts I'm like, okay, wait, where did that came from, or whatever it is. So I will definitely then watch the manga, first of all because I heard it's amazing, but I want to also get a better grasp of the whole story because I've been reading this for more than a year now, I think around a year. So yeah, there are parts of the story that I feel like I'm not grasping fully because my attention is kept by anything else that's going on in the page, that sometimes I don't pay much attention or enough attention as I should to the actual plot. But yeah, it's something that I can fix without any issues. So yeah, Doradoro, it's Doradoro, guys. You know I love it. Okay, and number 2, I do have a spin-off of The Sandman, and this is The Sandman Endless Nights. So this is one of the 3, I believe there are 3, spin-offs that there are of the main series, and this in particular is made up of short stories, and in each one of the short stories you dig deeper basically in the stories of the Endless, and I loved this so much. It's one of my favorite volumes in the whole series, just because first of all of the amount of insight that he really gave to each one of the Endless, and some of the Endless are characters that you don't meet very often in the main series, while here they have a whole story dedicated to them, and I loved exploring more of them. I think this is also a very fundamental volume in understanding the grievances between desire and dream and where they stem from. So here you have the origin of that kind of rift that is, when you start the Sandman, is already there and it continues throughout the series, but you don't really know where it came from. So this provides you with an explanation for that. And I do generally recommend that if you're into the Sandman, if you're about to read it or if you are in the midst of it, to pick this volume up before the end of the series, because it's going to provide you with a bit of more background on the Endless. It's not going to spoil anything. I believe all of these stories, actually without I believe 100%, all of these stories are prequels to all the events of the actual Sandman, so you're not going to be spoiled, but you actually have a better idea potentially after of who are the Endless and what are the dynamics between them. I liked how each story had a different art style. One complaint I had about the Sandman is that I wasn't the biggest fan of the art, but I did enjoy the art styles in these. And I loved how these stories at times were gross, impossible to follow for very good reasons. If you know the Endless, you know why some stories of them might be so bizarre. But all the time, all the stories, I found them quite very sensible, as all the stories by Gaiman can effortlessly be. And at number 1, I have Hellboy Volume 2. I'm collecting these in the library editions, and I'm having the best of times. This was my first time reading this volume, and it was... Oh, where is it going? It was just phenomenal. I think the amount of lore and adventures that we go on, this is an episodic series in a sense. There is an overarching plot, but in each issue or almost you follow different case. But because the lore and the art are so gripping, I'm not minding this. We will see after a few volumes. But for now, I am absolutely in love with Hellboy. He does get beaten up a lot in these. I'm surprised how he always ends up on top of things, considering how much he gets beaten up. I mean, I know how come, but it's surprisingly beaten up constantly. And it was a bit like, oh boy, that must have hurt. But that was just a silly thing to notice. However, I think the amount of lore and, you know, also the lore that we explore in different parts of the worlds, I am so fascinated by lore and myths and all the things that are creepy and a bit horrorish. And so this was the perfect read for spooky season. And I generally think that, you know, if you curl yourself on the sofa with some spooky Halloweeny music in the background, a candle on, and good lighting, because you need to enjoy the amazing art style in these, you're gonna absolutely love Hellboy. It was just an enchanted moment. It was just an enchanted experience being in the atmosphere and reading about, you know, this demon solving mysteries and exploring and meeting creatures of any kind of lore that you can possibly think of. Loving Hellboy. Thank you guys for watching. My camera is about to die, so it's time to say goodbye. That was the amount of things I've read this month. Let me know what was your favorite read of the month. If you're new, I would love for you to decide to stay and subscribe so we can chat in the comments down below, and you can let me know all your spooky recommendations for October spooky season. I'll see you next time. Take care of yourself. Ciao!